Hi, I'm Nancy O'Neill and welcome to Suncoast FYI. Today on our program, SNN meteorologist Marco Lamano stops by to talk about our near miss last week with Hurricane Elsa. Next, there's a new SNN anchor in town and we'll meet Cynthia McLaughlin. And finally, you'll meet one of our behind-the-scenes SNN newsroom specialists, Whalen, all next on Suncoast FYI. More than 16 hours. That's how long the SNN weather team was on the air live last week as they tracked Hurricane Elsa Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday morning. SNN's meteorologist Marco Lamano joins us now to talk about the storm and what makes our weather coverage unique on the Suncoast. Boy, did you guys get any sleep?
Of course not.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you and Justin and Leslie were on the air that whole time and you make it look so easy and we know it's not. Okay? And I think part of what I enjoy most is you don't get people on edge. You're telling them what's going on and what to be aware of. How do you do that for hours on end? I mean, what's the secret to all of that, Marco?
The hope of a brighter tomorrow.
Let's get it over with and move on.
Yeah, and I mean, and we knew that Elsa was not going to be this devastating storm for us. It'd probably do some damage. We'd have quite a bit of flooding in Northport with about a foot of rain. But we knew it was, for Suncoast standards, let's be honest, not one of the bigger ones like Irma from 4 years ago, which was a monster 185 mile an hour storm for a bit, and we just didn't know where it was going for a while. So we did know that, but even for tropical storms, everybody is going to have different circumstances. So not everybody lives in a very sturdy home. We have a lot of viewers in weaker homes or mobile homes or apartments where they can't really do anything, and every place floods differently. So even though it's not a big storm, we still want to give a lot of coverage to it, considering that it's still a storm. There's still, at a minimum, a mess to clean up, for which some viewers were telling me about. And there's always people who push back, thinking that even just straight up covering it at all is hype. Half the time, I think they just want to start a fight. But sometimes I think people think that there's some kind of conspiracy to cover this too much, and there's a large community. Our coverage does not revolve around one person's house. There's a whole community with a whole different layout, and so that's why we covered this so extensively. Not to scare anybody, but just so if you tuned in, we were there.
And informed about, like you said, all the different areas. Now, Sarasota was quite different than you said Northport. I mean, all the flooding that they got.
Yeah, a full foot. And Sarasota in June averages less than a foot for that whole month. So you get a foot in one day, that's going to cause some flooding issues. Fortunately, the damage hasn't been widespread. And, it's more information and better tech and building code and all of that over time is going to stop damage from being widespread
and be prepared
and stopping more people from getting hurt or dying. So if more information will help, then we're going to give more information.
There you go. Doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt at all.
Now, weather is a complicated science. It's not just reading your weather forecasts. There's math and physics and climate and earth sciences.
A lot of it.
That's a lot of it. It's a lot goes into it. So how do you make it easy for our viewers to absorb? Because obviously that's not our expertise like yours.
I'm glad you asked that, because it may seem like an obvious question to ask in some aspects, but at the same time, you have people who are not very wonky with all the technical meteorological terms. And then people who want to feel like they are learning something, where they're a little more weather savvy. And so there's a delicate balance between not feeling like you're dumbing it down so much for those people where it's like, well, this guy with a Facebook page at least talks about this stuff.
Yes.
And you want to balance it also so people who, they're new to the area, so they don't have as much of an understanding for the climate. You want to be able to make it so they understand it. So a lot of times what I do is I will use some meteorological terms, but all of them do come with an explanation because I don't want to just say, hey, look, I have the 700 millibar map and it shows this, because it's like 700 millibars back up, because you lost me at millibar there,
Right.
what is it measuring? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Why 700 as opposed to any other number? And so always I'll try to have some kind of explanation, because I want people to be able to follow along if they don't know. But I want people who love looking at the maps,
Sure.
but know that they're not, professional forecasters. I want them to be able to feel like they're learning something and I'm talking to them too. I don't know what the perfect balance is.
Yep.
I mean, for all I know, if I showed this to a talent coach, they might say I'm going a little more one way or another. But I can tell you that's always on my mind.
We love you.
Thank you.
Were there difficulties tracking Irma? I mean, it was Elsa, Irma,
Yeah.
we talked about. Yes. Oh
Still
my
on our
gosh.
minds.
Yes. Yes, I lived through that one. Thank God. But I mean, the cone was so wide when it started. How do you forecast something like that? I mean, how do you?
Well,
focus in on
usually, first, when we see a disturbance, it's very, and that's just, if there's a broad circulation out there, or just a bunch of disturbed weather, a bunch of showers and storms, usually you can barely track that that fast. You have to wait until they have this closed, tighter circulation, because where that circulation is will really determine where it's moving. So it always becomes easier once it becomes a tropical depression or storm to forecast.
Okay.
On the other hand, if it never becomes that, then you're not even that worried about it anyway.
Sure.
But it does become easier to forecast. And usually with models, the first 3 days are a lot more accurate. If you see any of those spaghetti models with each strand denoting a different model, usually they're very tightly wrapped the first 3 days. But then there's usually a big spread, days 4 to 7, because how quickly some high pressure system or something moves one day could drastically affect where it goes.
Sure.
So it does become a lot easier. National Hurricane Center has gotten a lot better with the forecasting.
All right. Before we go, what got you into weather? And tell our viewers something they don't know about you.
Oh boy. For the last
We only have a
one-
minute left here, Marco. So.
Okay. Well, first I'll say what got me into weather was actually watching a lot of local meteorologists. There was something about the subject, and there was definitely a lot of fear for me. Sometimes I thought if a severe thunderstorm hit that my house was going to blow away.
Sure.
And it was so, but I liked knowing about it because I felt knowing about things was knowledge is power, as cliche as that is.
Yep.
And I told myself, especially after I went through Francis, which was my first stronger hurricane, Cat 2, when I lived in South Florida, was that if I ever got into this industry, I wanted to be like the chief meteorologist at Channel 12, where I lived, John Matthews, who just made me feel so much better after it ended, telling me exactly what was happening over radio, because we lost power.
Okay.
And so he definitely, I would say, was an inspiration to me. And as far as something nobody knows about me, I like tea and coffee.
Black milk,
Cream,
Sugar.
no sugar.
cream, no sugar. Okay. Next time I come in, I'll bring you one.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Coming up after the break, I spend some time with SNN weeknight anchor Cynthia McLaughlin, so please stay with us. Cynthia McLaughlin graduated from Southern Methodist University in Texas. She worked in Bismarck, North Dakota, and Tyler, Texas, before arriving on the Suncoast, or what we call Paradise. Cynthia, welcome to Paradise and to SNN.
No kidding. Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Oh, gosh. Now, you've been with us for about a month. What do you think?
I love it, and I'm not being paid to say that, I promise. No, seriously, I mean, even with the hurricane, tropical storm, luckily it wasn't as bad but I mean, just the good days are just so phenomenal.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt being so close to the beach, and
No.
just it really is so nice.
Yes, as we were saying, I mean, it's, you know, even though we're working, and I work full time as well at a different location, but when we leave, it's like you step out, and you said you can go to the beach, you got all these great restaurants, shopping, it's like the best of everything.
Oh, and the
you know,
people are so
right here.
kind. And when I was in North Dakota, there was this whole thing called North Dakota Nice. Everybody was just so nice. One time I dropped my wallet going to the grocery store, and somebody put $10 in it.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's just, it so resonates here as well. I know some people do relocate here after enough time in the cold. Which
Yes,
that-
I
that
did
you-
too. I did too.
Where are you from?
New England, Massachusetts, and then 25 years in Vermont. So yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like some of us that have had a taste of maybe harsher climates
Yeah.
really can appreciate
yeah.
how great it is here.
Yep, yep. Now, what got you involved in your passion, journalism?
Oh goodness. I kind of stumbled into it seriously in college. I was going the pre-medical route, and you know, just honestly, organic chemistry was taking a toll on me. I mean, it was tough. I was only the second half of organic chemistry, so one class away from having all my pre-med prerequisites done, and you know, it felt like work. Like, you know, it wasn't exciting, and I kind of switched around majors and stuff, tried to boost that GPA, you know, after those science classes, and you know, I took a basic audio and video production course, and I just really liked having that creative outlet. Because, you know, some of these reporters here, they're not just, you know, standing in front of the camera. They're out there filming it, they're talking, they're sharing stories. And that's just something I think, one, is a great responsibility to have as a journalist, because people trust you to tell their stories and to share other people's stories factually and honestly. And I just think that's fantastic. And I feel like there's also a misconception that, you know, news is, you focus on the bad. And I honestly, I go so far out of my way to find the good stories, the sweet stories in the community. And I feel like that's what some people need to hear after the end of a long work day or a long work week.
Yep, yep. And there has to be a balance. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world, and you and Donnie and all of our other anchors, you know, keep us up to date on that. But yeah, it's always nice to know that there are things going on out there, and we need to hear more of them. So thank you for doing that.
It's more fun to tell too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's better to end on a happy note and be able to smile at the end of the day. So we've heard where you've worked, but where were you raised, Cynthia?
I'm a Texas gal.
Are you?
Yeah. Some people can tell, but no, yeah. So my family all grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I've got half my family, my grandparents and my cousins and aunt and uncle. They're over near Jerry World, Cowboy Stadium, Six Flags, all that fun stuff, just west of Dallas. Then my family, oh my goodness, such a small town just east of Dallas. It's called Heath, Texas, like the candy bar. And I remember sophomore year of high school, we got our first stoplight. It was a very big day, very big event, like 6,000 people. It was a very small town. But it was, you know, a hop, skip, and a jump away from Dallas. So, like, I had that city atmosphere, but there's still some cows on the pasture next to the highway in good old Heath, Texas, but it's grown. And then I went to, before SMU, Southern Methodist University, which is in Dallas, I went to Texas Tech University out in West Texas in Lubbock. They say you got to Lubbock or leave it, because
I've heard that before.
Yeah, they've got the dust storms, they've got it all, but it's such a unique little gem of a college town. And then Tyler, my last market where I was the morning news anchor for the NBC and Fox affiliate, that's East Texas. So just, you cut this state of Texas in half.
Oh my
I've lived pretty much everywhere on the top half of it.
Wow. Wow. And what made you decide to come here? I mean, do you have family here now, or did you leave everybody in Texas? Or?
I left everybody in Texas, I guess, if you put it that literally. Growing up, I was once removed from Texas. I lived in Boca Raton for, oh goodness, like 2-3 years. My dad had a job relocation there. We were there for Wilma, for I think Katrina, but Katrina didn't really hit South Florida quite like it did other parts of the country. But got a taste of hurricanes, got a taste of, how these meteorologists roll up their sleeves and just,
Sure.
Nose to the grindstone, really are doing a public service. So that kind of, Florida wasn't completely new, but I just remember great things. And so far, going back, I know my mom's a little jealous that I went because she's always said she wants to come back to Florida, but
Well, maybe she will now.
she will. She helped me. She came for the 4th of July and helped me move in, doing those mom duties and stuff like that. I've got her to thank for my apartment decor right now.
Oh.
But I've got a guest bedroom. She'll be back, I have a feeling,
There you
pretty
go.
soon.
Now, when you're not working and you're living in paradise, what do you like to do?
So far, it's just I cannot stay inside unless it's raining. Then I go inside. But I have a little. How old is JJ? My 7-year-old Maltese. I take him on walks. He is such a hoot. I rescued him during the pandemic, so he's an older one, but he was so scared and skittish when I got him.
Yeah.
And here he is like a whole new character. He's totally out of his shell, and it's so funny. In the backyard for the 4th of July, we were grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, hanging out by the pool, and it's a fenced-in backyard, the first fenced-in backyard he's ever had in his life. And he's like chasing the people down the fence, barking as they're going to the beach. And this is the same dog that like is behind my ankles 24/7. So it's just, I'm probably taking him to go get a smoothie or something if you see me in the morning.
Oh, good for him.
I
Good
swear,
for
it's
you.
like I do it all for him. It's
Yeah,
so funny.
We do. We're little fur babies.
Yes.
I totally get it. And the beach, you have a favorite beach yet?
Favorite beach, let's see. When I first stopped here, I was staying on Longboat Key, so checked out that beach. Oh my goodness, the sand is like clouds,
Yes.
Where else have I been?
Siesta is where the clouds are.
Yeah.
That's like quartz crystal. and
Yes, I was trying to go have a little romantic sunset viewing with my boyfriend this past weekend, and then that storm came in.
gosh.
Oh, it was crazy. We were
Well,
seeing
you'll have to
lightning.
get
and-
there.
Yes, that's the thing. You're in paradise. You can just
Right.
try it again next
Try it
week.
again next week. Well, thank you so much, and we're so happy to have you with us here at SNN.
Thank you. I'm excited for what the future holds here.
Great. Thanks, Cynthia. Up next on Suncoast FYI, we go behind the scenes in the SNN newsroom and meet someone who is quite happy being behind the camera. So we'll be right back. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a small army to put more than 100 hours of news each week on the air at SNN. Brooklyn Whalen is a recent grad from the University of Oklahoma, and we want to welcome you to the Suncoast.
Thank you so much.
And I did pronounce your name correctly, did I?
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Okay. Just want, and please don't call me ma'am.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's Nancy.
Okay, Nancy.
Now, you've been working at SNN for about 6 weeks, all right? And I've been told you don't like to be in front of the camera.
No, absolutely not.
Why?
I have always just preferred to be behind the camera, writing what people are saying. I love podcasting as well. I can talk and not have to be seen, but I think it all goes back to one time Mike Betcher, when I first met him, huge like Emmy Award-winning journalist. He said to me, "Do you want to be a producer or do you want to be an anchor?" I was like, "I don't know, and I don't know at all yet." And he said, "Well, do you want to be powerful or do you want to be a star?" And I was like, And I've just decided I'd rather be behind the camera making the decision. So.
I like that. I like that. So what do you think about working here as opposed to other stations you've been at?
Well, this is been so exciting to learn more of like the broadcast side of things. A lot of my experience has been print, online, and audio with podcasting. So this has been very interesting. I love the hustle and bustle of it for sure.
Okay, so give us a kind of timeline. When you graduated from college, then you went to where to here?
I graduated in May of this year,
Yes.
and then I moved right here.
Did you?
Yes. So this is my first market.
Awesome.
I've gotten to do some really amazing things throughout my time at college. I lived in DC for a semester, and that was amazing. Got to cover the Hill, and that led to an amazing opportunity with a internship with HuffPost. So I got to write for them as well. So I really loved that and learned to really love Washington, D.C.
Oh, it's beautiful. My
Yes.
daughter went to school there, and I just love the city.
Yes.
So what did you do exactly in Washington?
So I was I was in a fellowship program called Gaylord News through the Journalism College. And basically we had a small news bureau and we did Oklahoma-centric news. So anything going on in Washington, we covered all Oklahoma delegation, and we really worked on localizing those issues, those national policy issues.
What have you found interesting about being here now? You started about 6 weeks ago as well. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mainly, I feel like the one thing that I have really taken from my past experiences has been just the whole idea of localizing news, like kind of, you know, just serving the community that I live in and being able to localize those big policy issues to have people understand why it affects them.
Okay. Give us an idea of what your day is like. Because I come in and I see you sitting behind your computer working on stories, but what exactly are you working on, Brooklyn?
Well, producing is a small part of my job, actually. I'm also the assignment desk manager, so what that looks like is I'm listening to police scanners, I'm combing through emails, Twitter, other things like that, and trying to find out like what's happening, what's going on, what do we need to cover. So I'm doing that. I'm managing the reporters, trying to figure out what they're going to be doing for the day so that I can start to build the evening shows. So then I am writing up scripts, approving scripts, things of that nature, and just making sure that the show goes smoothly. And then I head to the control room after everything's all done, and then I manage things from back there.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a crazy day.
Wow.
Yes.
Whew. Well, we're so glad you're here because it's going
Thank
great.
you.
It's
Thank
going
you.
great. Now, was our hurricane your first hurricane last week?
Yes, I've been through a lot of natural disasters. This one was new for me. I'd never experienced a hurricane or a tropical storm, so I did not really know what to expect. But it all went well in the end, and we
Thank
got away
goodness.
from some major damage that could have occurred.
Yes,
So we're glad for that.
We did. Now, I know that you're also here with a fellow graduate of yours, Emma, who is our weekend anchor, and we'll meet her in the future. But did you come together? I mean, how did that all work that you ended up being here with us at SNN?
It's actually so crazy. I did not know Emma. I knew of her in college, and the same for her. But we had a lot of mutual friends, and we ended up deciding to both come here, and it was very exciting 'cause I knew no one coming here, as did she. So it was very nice to have at least a familiar face and name around. But yes, now we're both here, so it's kind of exciting.
Okay, where did you grow up, dear?
I grew up in a very small town in Oklahoma called Bristow, Oklahoma. My dad was a football coach, so we kind of moved from small town to small town for a while.
Then that's obviously not where you got your name. Brooklyn is not from Brooklyn,
No.
being in New York. Where did it come from? I love it.
Thank you. My grandmother's maiden name is Brooks, and so it derived from that. But
Beautiful.
thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all your hard work and for taking your time out to say hello to everybody out there.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go away. Thanks for joining us on Suncoast FYI. And if you would like to share with our community your nonprofit or upcoming community event, we would love to hear from you, and this is a complimentary service. Please call our producer, Adam Huntley, at 941-361-4645 to To view previous episodes, go to snnTV.com. I'm Nancy O'Neill, and we'll see you next Friday on Suncoast FYI.